Okay, well, let's try find some of these guys on the waiver wire. Let's start with running backs. Reminder, some of the guys on bye this week: Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Ramondre Stevenson, Alvin Kamara, and their understudies, Algier, Moss, and Elliott.
Now, you said who's on bye? You said what the Atlanta running back is who?
Bijan Robinson.
Okay, so I said yesterday Bijan Robinson's on a bye this week. And there was a controversy whether it's Bijan or Bijan. Hey, Pete, since we're stuck with you today, can you roll the tape? Let's hear from the man himself.
How you pronounce my name is Bijan.
Okay.
Like, that's how you say my name. But I say Bijan.
Okay.
And I don't know why I say that. Like, all my life I said that, and my mom's like, why do you say your name like that? Like, and I mean, that's just how everybody says it, but I don't, it doesn't really like affect me on how it's said. So if you guys want to say Bijan, like, go ahead. But if you guys want to say Bijan, I mean, I'm cool with that too.
Okay, well, that doesn't help.
That doesn't help at all.
I think everybody right.
Everyone's right.
Yeah,
well,
you absolved everyone.
I have said Bijan Robinson, and I'll tell you why. Because I respect his mother. I respect the wishes of Mama Robinson.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there you go.
I respect Bijan himself.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just about who you respect in this game.
Exactly.
I also respect
You're
Lawrence.
anti-mom.
Yeah,
You're like
Lawrence,
you're the anti-Zach Wilson.
Lawrence,
Lawrence,
or Lawrence.
I respect Lawrence. I respect Devin Singletary after he went 30 for 150 and a touchdown first time all season. The Texans were able to run the ball. Are you buying this going forward? Do you think Singletary maintains his role when Dameon Pierce inevitably comes back?
Well, I think it hurts Dameon Pierce more than anything, because at the very least, this thing is a 50-50 split, and it was trending that way already. You got Devin Singletary, by the way, he had a career high, 150. Like, he never did this with the Bills. So now he gets on the Texans and he runs for 150 yards. That was amazing. He's got 90% of the team's running back touches over the past 2 weeks with Pierce out. Now, Dameon Pierce wasn't reaching that type of, he wasn't getting that volume when he was, but that's because Devin Singletary was eating into that. So it'll be interesting to see when he comes back. But I think it's a 50-50 split. He's just been too effective, especially in the big win, for them to go back now.
There are rumors that Ken Dorsey was actually fired because Devin Singletary went for 150 yards this week. I haven't been able to confirm that.
Right, exactly. Look what this guy's doing on Houston.
Yeah.
He never did that with us, Ken Dorsey. You're fired. You're absolutely fired.
You might got some legs on that. That might be true.
There's something there. I will say this to your point, whether Pierce comes back or not, I don't think you can put that genie back in the bottle, so to speak. Singletary certainly earned more work, and they play Arizona this week, just in terms of picking up guys that are available this week. They play Arizona this week, and Denny Carter talked about this over the weekend on Fantasy Football Pregame about how Arizona is such a run funnel defense. And everyone had to drink because he said the word funnel like 800 times. But the fact is, he's right. Teams facing the Cardinals averaging over 26 running back carries per game. They allow the third most fantasy points to opposing running backs as well. Singletary is going to be somebody that's likely going to make my love list again this week as well. So I think Singletary, who's available in 50% of Yahoo leagues, if he's out there in yours, very much worth a pickup, especially if you're looking for somebody this week.
Yep, Matthew, Ty Chandler came into the game when Alexander Mattison was concussed. Cam Akers obviously out for the season with his Achilles. Now, he didn't have a great stat line, but he scored a touchdown out of the Wildcat and just seemed to give them more zip in the offense.
Right, and they're playing at Denver on Sunday Night Football, as we talked about here. The mobility of Josh Dobbs, I think, opens up this run game here. Also, the return of Justin Jefferson as well. He's a starting running back in the NFL, and that's going to have value. Denver allowed, listen, as good as the Denver defense played last night, they still gave up almost 200 rushing yards and over 7 yards per carry. I mean, James Cook, when he wasn't fumbling, was running all over them. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. So Chandler on the road at Denver, I think, is certainly a viable pickup. For whatever reason, I kept confusing him with
Ty Montgomery?
Not Ty Montgomery.
Johnson.
Ty Johnson, the former Jets player. I was talking to Connor, like, why didn't Ty Chandler do more in the Jets? I was giving him crap.
It's tough because he wasn't on the team.
Because he wasn't on the team.
But if he would have been.
I don't know why I did that, but I just had this weird brain fart where I just keep confusing Ty Chandler, who was legit drafted by the Vikings. He's been on the Vikings his entire pro career.
UNC.
For Ty Johnson, former Jet great. Anyway, Ty Chandler's out there, and we'll see if Madison clears the concussion protocol. But it seems, at the very least, he's earned a bigger portion of the backfield. Doesn't seem like they want to give Madison this whole workload and now that Cam Akers is gone. And then obviously, if Madison doesn't clear the protocol, he'll be the starting running back on Sunday night.
Yeah. Lawrence, Keaton Mitchell, not a lot went right for the Ravens against the Browns, but Keaton Mitchell, just the explosiveness that he showed, you'd expect that he'll be a bigger part of the offense going forward.
Yeah, you know why it didn't go right? Because they stopped giving him the ball. He had 3 carries in the game. Look, his season numbers is just crazy, right? 12 carries, 172 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's like he's basically Divine Achane for the Ravens. Explosive. John Harbaugh said we didn't want to put too much pressure on the rookie in a tight game situation, but he had their 2 biggest plays of the game outside of the OBJ 40-yard touchdown, but 2.4 fantasy points per touch over the past 2 weeks is something, Matthew.
That is a very impressive number for people who don't understand. Like 2.4 fantasy points per touch is ridiculous. I actually heard a rumor that Ken Dorsey was fired because Keaton Mitchell didn't get more work.
Yeah,
like it's just very upsetting. It's just like they're just like, why are you not getting your best player more work? Exactly. Get out of here, Ken Dorsey. So it's like I don't call the plays for Baltimore.
Yeah.
But they'd already been fired. So it was.
Unfortunately, when you confuse Ty Chandler with Ty Johnson, the Bills actually just fired you as well, Matthew.
Fair enough.
You don't
not the first time they fired me as well. Well, listen, I can never be too angry at Buffalo because that was where you and I had our one magical night.
True, yeah. It was a great
Which I still don't know about and don't want to know about.
That is correct.
Y'all got that.
It'll be between me and Jay and 4 magical walls. I'll just say this.
Holiday.
It was, you call it the Holiday Inn, I call it the Love Shack.
Yeah.
All right. The fact of the matter is that Keaton Mitchell, he's had 15 touches this season. 4 of them have gone for over 30 yards. 4 of them. And you think about this matchup against Cincinnati, where they are allowing the 5th highest yards per carry to opposing running backs this season. Again, we just talked up Devin Singletary and what he just did to the Bengals as well. This is Keaton Mitchell. And again, like we talked about at the top of the show, tell me what you're doing. Like if I'm 8-2 and Keaton Mitchell, or 7-3 or whatever, and I don't need somebody for quote unquote this week, he has the most upside of anyone. And by the way, if you don't have Keaton Mitchell and he's gone in your league, it's your own fault because we literally have been making fun of Michael Smith for bringing him up in like week 1. You know what I mean? This is something that we talked about. Like this is a guy, right? He is somebody that has been talked about on the show quite a bit as well as somebody that we saw him pop in the preseason. We knew all kind of speed. Connor loves him as well. Talked about his career, East Carolina, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And the thing is as well is that now he gets the Bengals, who Devin Singletary just lit up after they hadn't been able to light up anyone. It was funny watching Keaton Mitchell just burn the safety around the edge and compare that to Latavius Murray not being able to burn DJ
just
Jones.
outran the angle.
Yes, he did.
Well, Latavius Murray kind of like he looked like he tipping when no knee lift there.
It was not great. Well,
so hopefully the big plays. You mentioned Harbaugh saying that like, hey, we didn't want to put too much on the rookie, but hopefully he is earned.
And he don't have to have the goal line touches.
No, he
just give him more.
Well, when you're not being tackled, when you're running it in from the 40, it doesn't matter. You don't need any goal line touches. Yep. Anyway, he's earned a bigger share, and we expect that role to increase as the season progresses. Love him for the second half of the year. If you're you and I should talk about Keaton Mitchell.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned upside, Matthew, with Keaton Mitchell. Zack Shaw has a ton of upside as well. He is going against the Rams. Looks like Stafford will be back for that one. And he got a bit more usage against your Washington Commanders.
11 touches last week. That was a season high for him. He's now had 3 straight games with a snap rate above 50%. It is a committee there in Seattle, but Ken Walker has been banged up throughout his career. Came into the NFL banged up, but he's hurt a little bit in preseason this year as well. So somebody that for deeper leagues he's already rostered. But again, as we sort of talk about roster construction, if something were to happen to Walker, Charbonnet would be a top 15 fantasy running back any week that Walker was out.
Yep, I agree there. Lawrence, Tyjae Spears, another young rookie running back. He went 4 for 42 through the air.
Jay and I have talked. You're never on the waiver show. Jay and I have talked about Tyjae Spears literally for 2 months straight.
I don't know why he's still in the shade.
I don't. Because they hate us. America hates us. They're just like, Barry's recommended Spears. I'm out. But Lawrence, can you talk him up so I don't have to?
The best thing about this is, no, you're not getting 100-yard games, but in a PPR type of a league, which is what most of us play nowadays, you'll take what he did in Week 10, 4 receptions, 42 yards as a long shot flex. The important thing here is a 52% snap rate this season, along with Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry's still, the goal line back. But they've proven that they depend on Tyjae Spears from time to time. And the schedule coming up here, you got the Jaguars, the Panthers, and the Colts. The Panthers and the Colts are amongst the worst rushing defenses. Matter of fact, they're amongst the worst against defending running backs in fantasy this season. So you like the matchups there. And Tyjae Spears has been known to, catch a pass and take it for a long game. So now you don't have to talk about him as much. I'm just reiterating what these gentlemen have been doing the past, really the whole season.
Yeah, okay, let's move on to Darrell Henderson. Matthew, Kyren Williams expected per Sean McVay to make a return when eligible in Week 12. This is Week 11, however. Do you think he's viable this week?
It's literally just about this week as well against the Seahawks. He's averaging over 15 touches per game in his 3 games that he's played this season. Brian Robinson had a big game through the air against the Seahawks last week as well. Henderson is more of the pass-catching running back between him and Royce Freeman as well. Freeman's been more effective than Henderson, but whatever. Henderson's been the guy. It's kind of a 50-50. So I prefer Henderson to Freeman just because of the passing game usage. But Freeman probably has the better chance to get into the end zone. But again, they'll be close in my rankings. It's just sort of like, hey, if you need somebody that qualifies at running back this week, Darrell Henderson qualifies at running back this week and does not have a terrible matchup. Seattle has fallen off recently against the run, whereas they started off the season really, really high. But so far this season, they've struggled. And actually, over the last 4 weeks, no team in the NFL has given up more rushing yards per game than the Seattle Seahawks.
Yep, Sean has come off the Seattle defense a little bit. Let's take a look at how you rank these running back waiver wire targets. Matthew, you got Devin Singletary at number 1 coming off the massive game. Ty Chandler 2, Keaton Mitchell 3, maybe more of an upside play there. Certainly upside plays in Zach Shaw and Tyjae Spears as the season goes on. And then number 6, Darrell Henderson, more of a this week play.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com. And I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched. Or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.